Attorney General Liz Cheney. That's how things could be in the Kamala Harris administration, at least if the ladies of The View had their way. Let's listen.
Are you also a lawyer?
Yeah. I am.
So you could conceivably be a great AG if this was... Because, and I say this because your moral core is magnificent.
Well,
and I know you probably don't want it, you don't want to think about it, but I just feel like I would feel a lot better with you leading the FBI, the CIA, the NBC, the elementary, everybody. That's just me. So I'm just saying, should it be floated? Please think about it.
and under the radar.
We have to get Vice President Harris elected tomorrow.
I can think of few things more terrifying than having Liz Cheney be in charge of the agencies that Whoopi Goldberg just mentioned there. That was a suggestion for Kamala Harris to pick her to run those things, and it is just miraculous. If I could go back in time and tell my I don't know, 16-year-old self back in 2000, back in the mid-aughts, that one day within my lifetime, Democrats and liberal commentators would be not just begrudgingly making common cause with Liz Cheney, with the Cheneys for the narrow purposes of not liking Donald Trump, but wholly on board with them as the trusted to lead our country. It would just be, I wouldn't believe it, but here we are. I mean, does Whoopi Goldberg not remember any of the Cheney family's other stances that she presumably did not like? Their full-throated support for things like foreign wars and the Patriot Act, a product of the Cheney philosophy, control over the Bush administration. We're going to be doing a lot of lot of civil liberties violations, a lot of torture, maybe?
Yes, exactly.
Remember when we cared about torture?
Guantanamo,
liberals?
Cheney versus the U.S. government. I mean, there were suspending habeas corpus, as you know, and she backed that too.
I'm feeling waterboarded right now.
I don't want to punish her for her father's opinions, but it just happens to be that her opinions and her record are very similar to her father's. No, she was not in the presidency. With that being said, what I don't understand about some liberals not getting this, right? And I also progressives, I get the point of having Liz Cheney endorse Kamala Harris to give permission to some moderate Republican women in particular, to vote for Kamala Harris. But that does not mean you hand over the entire movement to them. They are an asset in a moment because elections are oftentimes about coalitions and bringing people together that may not agree. And I'm glad that they've changed their mind about democracy because they were very anti-democracy in 2000. And furthermore, you know, throughout the Bush-Cheney reign. But what I don't understand is, like, she has these kind of comments a lot. Like, I like Whoopi, she's funny, she's got a great, history, and I think most of her politics are pretty good.
I liked her in the Sister Act movies.
Sister Act series.
Like everyone else.
But she kind of loses the strategy behind how, when we're making political decisions like this, when coalitions are being built, it's about coming together on one issue in the face of something else. It's a moment. It is not a movement. And I'm just concerned, even with progressives who also don't understand why Liz Cheney's on board, they don't understand necessarily the politics of what it means to win. Like, how many votes does Kamala Harris have to get and where are they going to come from? At some point, you got to pull those votes from somewhere. But again, it doesn't mean we are handing the presidency to Liz Cheney. And I am so concerned about habeas corpus, so concerned about Guantanamo.
It seems like they'd be happy to hand the president, I mean, not the literal presidency, but outsource major policy-making decisions to the Liz Cheneys of the world. That's what's so fascinating. There was a comment on the Bulwark podcast the other day. These are very, ostensibly Republican, but truly just never Trump, anti-Trump, liberal now, basically. Tim Miller, that guy, and some other people. And somebody else said, like, have the neocons taken over the Democratic Party? And I think it was Tim who was like, shh, don't say that out loud. But it's true. If you're a neoconservative, you belong in the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party's foreign policy reflects your agenda more than Trump's Republican Party does. I think that's true.
I think in terms of...
I think the nation-building, war-footed, listen to military experts, escalate tensions with Russia, Iran, China. That is more common in the Democratic Party.
I think there are pieces.
The China stuff is in both, but
Yeah, the China stuff's in both. I think there are pieces of the Democratic Party who are absolutely leaning heavily. I think you can be concerned about China, you can be concerned about Russia, and not be ready to go to war.
Well, I agree with
which
that.
I don't think Joe Biden or Kamala Harris are doing anything that indicates they want to go to war. I mean, defending a critical part of Europe, essentially, with Ukraine is one thing, but we have not put boots on the ground, except for assisting those weapons in Israel. And I don't think that's anything Democrats want to do. We want to get out. And,
I wouldn't send
we want to
weapons
stop
to
sending
Israel or
weapons.
Ukraine.
Yes, I agree. Well, Ukraine's a
Ukraine.
different story because Russia has
Why?
been incredibly clear about their moves to take over Eastern Europe. We're aware of that.
I think that's Eastern Europe's problem, not the U.S.
Well, it spills into global.
I mean, what's spilling
stability.
into global stability is having this war going on. Look, the world has gotten. This is true. We talk about Trump, or not me. The media talks about Trump as the chaos candidate, but the world has gotten way less stable under. And I'm not blaming him for all of it, but under the last 4 years, we have way more problems on the foreign policy side of things
not because
than we
of
did under
US
the years of
foreign
Trump.
policy. That's because
Well,
you have
isn't it?
China and Russia who have been working together for years.
They don't
to
respect or
destabilize.
fear or want or care about Biden at all.
They don't care about democracy at all, and they would be very happy being able to do whatever they want. So would Donald Trump. Now, where I think the neocons differ from the neoliberals, hopefully, is that the neocons see the United States government and military-industrial complex as a money-making machine. And I just don't think Democrats, of course, I mean, the rotating door, the revolving door
sure,
of
but it's
Republicans going to work
Yeah, but sometimes I think
lobbyists.
that it is ideological. They also firmly believe it's not just that. I mean, some people sure paid off, and it has been profitable for them, right? Obviously, the Cheney family has close ties to the defense industry, but it is also just ideological.
Totally, but that's kind of how this works, right? Your politics is often in line with where you're making your money. So.
All right. Well,
No to Liz.
No to Liz, please. We do agree on that. Coming up next on Rising, we'll talk about Elon Musk's rise in the Republican Party. Stay tuned.